Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and lovely to see our beautiful Sangha here on Zoom as well. So this is depends on when you're watching this or practicing with us, but the time of this recording is beginning of April, and it's cold these last few days, but there was some warm days in there, not too long ago, and there's more coming. And I noticed, I guess it was just a change in my schedule, but there was some space and a little bit of space and some energy to do what felt like spring cleaning. The and it felt great to be like decluttering and cleaning things that I don't clean on the regular on a weekly, but just some deeper cleaning of some things. And it's something that lots of folks notice they have an energy or an inclination for in spring, hence the name, spring cleaning. I think it's a common feeling when we have the capacity and the energy and the time for that and the well-being, etc. But it was reminding me this sense of decluttering the space. Mm, mm, Sometimes things, we end up with stuff that we don't really need or want, and um, we just have more than we need, uh, or there's just kind of this sense of needing a good deep cleaning. And it reminded me of the mind that we end up with other people's stuff sometimes, or we end up with more than we need, like a lot on our mind and a lot of fullness and busyness. We end up feeling kind of cluttered in our energy and in our awareness. And um, one of the aspects of the Eightfold Middle Path, which is what the Buddha awoke to as the fourth noble truth, the way to the ending of suffering, the way to the ending of dukkha, more accurately. One of those of the Eightfold Middle Path is called wise effort. And wise effort has four components of it. I'm going to talk about two of them tonight. Um, One of them is that when unskillfulness has already arisen, so when we're caught in a lot of worrying or planning or dullness or a lot of desire or aversion or doubt, the basic hindrances, or any mind state that is hindering awareness and hindering compassion and presence, um, that this is arisen unskillfulness, it's called. So when we notice that these things have arisen already in our heart, body, mind, we are asked to, no, we are taught, we are pointed towards abandoning what is unskillful. So this is what I was thinking of as I was doing this spring cleaning was like, what also needs to be abandoned or kind of cleaned from my being, not just my space. Um, and it's a really sometimes overlooked, but I think very, very important part of the practice. Mm, It's very practical. It's and it's so liberating and so important to practice with these wise efforts. With this one in particular, abandoning what is already up for us, has already arisen, that is unskillful, unwholesome, not onward leading. Um, there's different degrees of effort needed. Some things, just bare mindfulness, sati, is enough. So we might just notice um, worrying mind is here. And just by naming it and knowing it, that's enough for it to just be its nature, arising and passing without any clinging. It can just be known, oh, whatever state is up, we name it, we know what it's like, and that bare mindfulness is sometimes enough for it to let go and pass. So that's the first level, doesn't feel like the right word. The first wise effort in abandoning. And often, you may have noticed, that is not enough. That we can just know something, but we're still hooked. We're still caught. We're still ruminating. We're still wanting and not wanting and all these things. So we begin with mindfulness, and if it lets go, that's great. If it doesn't, then there's kind of a next wise effort. And that is cultivating its opposite. So if there's a lot of desire or greed that's up, the opposite might be cultivating generosity or gratitude for what we already have, or letting go, or sharing, giving, to cultivate its opposite. Or if you were doing it in a meditative state, you might just be practicing um, gratitude meditation. If there was a lot of ill will and aversion towards ourselves or others or states, the opposite might be to cultivate loving kindness, metta, friendliness. Um, so you can just trust, like just use your own discernment around what's sticky and what would its opposite be. If there's a lot of dullness and sleepiness, then you would want to cultivate energy and wakefulness. If there's a lot of, yeah, you can figure out the rest. I don't need to go through them all, I don't think. Um, so this is called wise effort. And again, we don't start there by always doing the opposite, like, oh, I'm feeling really frustrated and angry. No, be happy. That's spiritual bypassing. If we just quickly try to go to the opposite of like, no, that's not an okay thing to feel. We start first with just mindfulness, paying attention to it. How is it? What is it? Um, and then still some things might still feel sticky. We might still feel really hooked with some state of mind or heart. And so we've practiced mindfulness, and then we might cultivate its opposite if it still feels like there's a lot of aversion or desire or doubt, etc. Um, this next one, it's called Hiri Otapa, is translated as regret and remorse. And this is different than shame and blame. Shame and blame are things that contract your heart. They add to the story of self. I'm a bad person, or or separation from others. You're a bad person. So shame and blame are not skillful, not onward leading. But these qualities, Hiriotapa, translated as regret and remorse, are have the quality of interconnectedness, of seeing that harm was caused, whether intentional or not, but we can know often that some harm was caused, and we can feel that regret. We can express that regret, or we can do this reflection inwardly. And the intention to not do that again to the best of our ability. And this is comes from a sense of interconnectedness, and it opens the heart and keeps us in relationship with each other, which is the opposite of shame and blame, which is separating and contracting. Um, and so this is, again, we're talking about when unskillfulness has arisen. And so this is sometimes because we've caused harm. And we feel all that ruminating and beating ourselves up about it, and um, going over it and over it and imagining what we should say or do to fix it and all this stuff. So this is a way to help abandon that, to release that skillfully by reflecting on it in this way. And not just reflecting, if we have the opportunity, we also offer amends to those we've caused harm to, intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes we don't have that opportunity where we can um, process something with people. Some people just don't want to go there. Some people are not available. Sometimes time has passed, etc. And so then we can still do that work internally by using a forgiveness practice, offering forgiveness to ourselves, asking for forgiveness. It's a whole meditative practice. Um, hmm. The next wise effort is what's called revulsion in the Dharma. And it sounds like a bad thing. Translated in English is like revulsion. Ooh, that, we think of that as like being, yeah, repulsed by something, which is different. Revulsion here is meaning revolving, like turning away from. It's seeing what is unskillful, unwholesome, not onward leading, not conducive to care and wisdom, and turning away from it. Skillfully redirecting our attention. It's considered a wise diversion. So you might notice sometimes after you've processed something, when you've been mindful of it, you've cultivated its opposite, you've explored regret and remorse, if that's applicable. And then you might need to just pay attention to something else, right? Like, what else is happening? Oh, yes, I'm actually eating food right now, but I'm not even thinking about it, right? We're like ruminating while we're eating, and we're not even aware. Or we're not noticing the sounds of the birds or the sense of temperature or the touch of our body with the ground. So this is a sense of skillful redirection. What else is happening that also needs to be paid attention to? Um, the next wise effort with unskillfulness that has already arisen is to deeply investigate its roots. Like, what is the cause and condition of this that's feeling really sticky, that has me really hooked? One of the ways to look at this is by asking, whose voice is this I'm hearing? You know, is it like your grade 6 teacher that told you blah, 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 blah? and you hear their voice saying, "Oh," and or is it, some authority figure in your life that has become an ingrained voice? So kind of asking, whose voice is this that I'm hearing berate myself or tell stories about others? Uh, so that's one way to kind of deeply investigate what is this about really that is so sticky. Often, I won't say always, but often underneath, underneath is me, is an attachment to how I want to be seen, how I want to feel, who I want to become. Uh, there's an attachment to self in there. This kind of deeply investigating the roots of something, if there's something that keeps coming up for you and is really sticky, this is a great place for therapy. Meditation is not a cure-all for all things. It's very skillful to look for other sources of support. So this might be a place of that wise effort to deeply investigate what's really up here. And the last wise effort for unskillfulness that has already arisen is vigorous restraint and suppression. Now, please remember, this is not where we begin. This is like after this and this and this and this and this. Uh, some people like to just start here. And again, that's spiritual bypassing, right? To just be suppressing and repressing things that are uncomfortable. But it is listed, the Buddha taught about this, that and the words in the sutta are, I should have looked it up, but I know the words are like gritting one's teeth, bearing down, like it's strong language like that, where it's just like, actually, no, we're not doing that anymore. And this is a very helpful uh, you know, uh, so an example that comes to mind is when my kids were younger, is just like worrying mind that would get hooked onto worst case scenarios if they were home late or something or out with the car. And then I would be just start a whole story about the worst possible things happening. And in my mind's eye, I'm like at the funeral, and like the mind just goes all the way to the worst extremes very quickly. And that could be known with mindfulness, but then still keeps coming. Okay, practice some loving kindness. May I be peaceful. May you be safe. May you be well. Practicing its opposite. Um, Maybe it stays sticky. And so, you kind of keep working your way through the wise efforts. And yeah, deeply investigating the roots, you can see the conditioned arising of it, etc. And then at some point, I realized like it's not helping me, this line of thinking. It's not helping them, not making them any safer. They don't know I'm going crazy. Um, it's just creating more suffering. And so this is a time to just say, stop. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not thinking this anymore. And that's like this vigorous restraint of like, no, not doing that. And it's really has been helpful. Um, so these are ways of spring cleaning of the mind. And then I'll talk about one other aspect. So remember I said there's 4 parts of wise effort. I'll talk about the other 2 next week. Another part is preventing unskillfulness from arising in the first place. So if we're thinking of this in like the spring cleaning idea of our home, we could be protecting how much stuff is coming into the house. What company we're keeping. Yeah, it's kind of preventing like how much dirt the dogs are bringing into the house. Uh, and in terms of the mind, we are asked to cultivate um, guarding and preventing, guarding the mind to prevent unskillfulness and unwholesomeness from arising in the first place. So that we don't have to get to this place of decluttering the mind. The understanding is that we all have what are called latent defilements, the kleshas. We all have greed, hatred, and delusion from causes and conditions, and we want to prevent those from sparking, from picking up. An important way to do this in these times and all times is called protecting the sense doors. So if you notice, you get filled with a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety, a lot of grief and doubt and hopelessness and whatever other qualities like this, you might reflect on, do I need to protect the sense doors a little bit more? One thing I read, where was that? Yeah, it's in the other room, an article, but was saying something like the 3-to-1 rule. For each, oh, I wish I had it in front of me. For each painful or harmful or cruel social media thing we take in, to then balance that with 3 things that are joyful, interconnected, hopeful, active, etc. So this protecting the sense doors, looking at who you're hanging out with, what kind of stuff is being talked about, is it skillful, is it helpful, what media are you taking in, and also in terms of like if you're feeling a lot of greed and desire that's activated, protecting the sense doors by unsubscribing to the emails that come in and say, you didn't know you need this, but look, you do. Um, so decluttering and unsubscribing from things or deleting some accounts, etc. Uh, Another way to prevent the arising, to guard, to prevent the arising of unskillfulness is this: Sangha, community, being with like-hearted and like-minded people that have skillful intentions to cultivate care and wisdom. And this is a wonderful way to prevent these latent defilements from being fueled, because we have the opportunity to speak to each other with kindness and care and honesty and wise attention. And then the last one I'll mention is the precepts. These are how we hopefully practice in a daily way, chanting, reading, listening to, reflecting on, journaling about, whichever version, your values, your ethics, your morality. It's called sila in the Dharma. And there's 5 lay precepts that we practice with, and I'll mention them when we start our meditation. These very much are absolutely protections. They guard us from unskillfulness, because if it's really front of heart and mind to not cause harm, to not take more than is freely given, to not speak falsely and harshly, etc., then we're less likely to cause harm and less likely to be full of regret and remorse from those things. Yeah, that's enough, I think. Um, this is so these ones are not in the Dharma. What I've just shared are like from the suttas, from the Dharma. But aside from that, another way to prevent unskillfulness from arising is to say no, to have boundaries. Saying no is a great thing, and it's hard for most of us to do. But it's a way to protect your energy, to protect um, getting into stuff that isn't skillful for you. So setting boundaries, saying no might be part of that. So as you're going about, if you do find in these coming weeks you have some energy or capacity for decluttering your space or cleaning, you might at the same time be reflecting on the mind and your energy and your body and what also needs to be. Um, I have a friend that would do like these major cleanings, like move all the furniture and like clean every corner whenever they were working through something. And it's a way to kind of, as you're doing that, you're like processing and moving that energy. So it could be interesting to just see how they're related for you. Another protection is metta bhavana. So we're going to practice that tonight. Going to do it in a different way that I heard another teacher refer to, and I like it. So we're going to try it. All right, so let's tuck in for our practice. Adjust your posture or your space. I'm going to have a sip of tea. Okay, so taking your time to see if you need any other movement or adjustments or supports. Finding a posture that supports wakefulness and uprightness as well as ease and relaxation. We just allow several minutes just to land into our posture, settling down, doing a light scan of the body and noticing any areas of tension, contraction that aren't needed right now, and seeing if that can soften or have some kind of tension, some ease with. Particularly paying attention to the areas that you know are habit tensions for you, perhaps the forehead, the jaw, shoulders, fingers, belly. Breath by breath, moment by moment, arriving, settling, landing. As you continue to settle and relax, we want to balance that with some energy of wakefulness and uprightness. I like to feel the sense of my ethics, the sila that we were talking about, that is a protection, a guard against unskillfulness arising. Feel that as an energy moving up the spine. So there's a sense of the strong back and soft front. We undertake these trainings to refrain from taking life, from causing harm. We undertake these trainings to refrain from taking more than is freely offered to us. We undertake these trainings to refrain from speaking falsely and harshly. We undertake these trainings to refrain from causing harm with our sensuality and sexuality, with all of the sense doors. We undertake these trainings to refrain from heedlessness or a lack of mindfulness caused by intoxicants in all their various forms. Feel these precepts and your own values and ethics as this felt experience of protection, prevention, guarding, guarding your heart, body, and mind. Now we'll practice this version, this approach to the loving kindness meditation, the cultivation of friendliness, benevolence, kindness. And it's a simplified version that just has two phrases. May I be happy and may I be peaceful. And as we do this, as you're internally saying, may I be happy, sweep the awareness up the back of the body, up the back of the body, may I be happy, and down the front of the body, may I be peaceful. May I be happy, sweeping awareness up the back of the body, over the top of the head, may I be peaceful down the front. May I be happy, may I be peaceful. Let that awareness be a little bit wider so that it feels like it's almost connecting at the side body. Kind of a wide sweeping awareness up the back, down the front, and feeling this felt experience of protection and of clearing, cultivating. We're cultivating the opposite of many unskillful mind states. May I be happy, may I be peaceful. And if you want to, you could shorten that to just one word, happy, and then peaceful. Be able to let the words be even further in the background and just be with the felt experience. Now we might bring into awareness someone who, in relationship with, is creating some unskillfulness, not that they're creating it, but in relationship with others, is creating, stirring up some states of mind in you that are not onward leading, where there's some unresolved or some confusion or some disliking. And with this being in mind, you could continue with, may you be happy, may you be peaceful. Continue feeling your own body, your own energy, heart, mind, with them in relationship, in awareness. May you be happy, may you be peaceful. So we're untethering our own hearts in relationship with others, loosening the knots. Mostly we'll open awareness non-conceptually, just energetically to all beings. So without discriminating who receives our care and our best wishes, you might feel it like a awareness extending from in the whole space behind your back body in all directions, all the way back and around to the sides. May you be happy. And then forward and to the sides, may you be peaceful. So there's still this flowing. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. As above, as below, all directions. You can stay with that, all beings, or for these last few minutes, return to yourself up the back and down the front. May all beings everywhere have the conditions, and the energy, and the clarity to be able to abandon what is unskillful and to protect against the arising of unskillfulness. May all beings everywhere be safe and free from harm. May all beings everywhere know true happiness. May all beings everywhere have the causes and conditions for as much wellness as possible. May all beings everywhere be peaceful. Thank you for your practice and your cultivation, spring cleaning of the mind and the heart. And hope to practice with you again.